You know that feeling when nothing seems to be going right, when the universe appears to be conspiring against you and your suffering feels endless? That's exactly what we're going to explore today. Through the lens of brilliant thinkers who dedicated their lives to understanding the essence of human pain, I'll reveal powerful perspectives that could completely transform how you view life's challenges, turning your wounds into sources of strength and wisdom. When the weight of existence seems to crush your soul, the insights of Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the 19th century's most profound philosophers, can illuminate your understanding of pain. In his masterpiece, The World as Will and Representation, he unveils an unsettling truth. Suffering isn't an accident in human life, it's its very essence. As he stated, life swings like a pendulum, backward and forward between pain and boredom, an observation that explains why so many of us feel trapped in cycles of anguish. What makes Schopenhauer's thinking so revolutionary is his analysis of human desire. He believed we're driven by an insatiable will that never finds lasting satisfaction. It's like a thirst that, even after being quenched, always returns with greater intensity. This endless cycle of wanting, achieving, and wanting again creates a pattern of suffering that permeates all human existence. Michel de Montaigne, in his essays, had already observed how humans were tormented by their own desires. But it was Schopenhauer who deepened this understanding to a metaphysical level. He proposed that our heightened consciousness, unlike animals, makes us painfully aware of our own mortality and the limitations of existence. This awareness, combined with our insatiable will, creates a perfect storm of existential suffering. Schopenhauer, however, doesn't leave us without hope. His proposal for alleviating suffering comes through asceticism, the conscious denial of worldly desires. In his view, only when we manage to detach ourselves from our endless wants can we find any peace. As Émile Cioran, influenced by his thinking, would later say, it's not our desires that make us suffer, but the impossible ones, a reflection that invites us to rethink our relationship with our own wants. In the darkness of suffering, Friedrich Nietzsche emerges as a revolutionary voice challenging our perception of pain. Unlike his contemporaries, he didn't see suffering as something to be eliminated, but as an essential transformative force for our growth. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. This famous Nietzsche quote isn't just a popular saying, but a profound reflection on how adversity can fuel our personal evolution. The concept of amor fati, love of fate, represents one of Nietzsche's most powerful contributions to understanding human suffering. Imagine being able to embrace every difficult moment, every obstacle, every pain, not just with resignation, but with genuine love and gratitude. As he wrote, "My formula for greatness in human beings is amor fati, not wanting anything to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." Martin Heidegger, in analyzing Nietzschean thought, emphasizes how this perspective revolutionizes our relationship with time and suffering. It's not about passively accepting what happens to us, but actively transforming each painful experience into an opportunity for growth. It's like an artist using emotional wounds to create masterpieces. Suffering becomes the raw material for building a stronger, more resilient self. Michel Foucault, inspired by Nietzsche, helps us understand how transforming suffering into creative force can become a form of resistance and self-affirmation. When we embrace our pain and transform it into momentum for change, we're exercising what Nietzsche called the will to power, not power over others, but over ourselves and our circumstances. This is true alchemy, turning the lead of suffering into the gold of wisdom. Amidst life's turbulence, Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, offers us timeless wisdom about suffering. It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. This fundamental teaching revolutionizes our understanding of emotional pain. As someone who experienced the greatest adversities, from slavery to physical disability, Epictetus shows us that true freedom doesn't lie in the absence of hardship, but in our attitude toward it. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and follower of Epictetus's teachings, deepened this understanding when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This Stoic perspective teaches us that what initially appears as an obstacle can transform into our greatest opportunity for growth. It's like a Paralympic athlete who turns physical limitations into fuel for extraordinary achievements. Seneca, another great name in Stoicism, complements this thinking by stating that it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. Suffering, from this viewpoint, isn't an enemy to be fought, but a teacher revealing our own strength. When we accept that not everything is under our control, paradoxically, we gain immense power over what we truly can influence. The dichotomy of control, a central principle in Epictetus's teachings, echoes in Zygmunt Bauman's words about liquid modernity. In a world of constant change and uncertainty, our only true anchor is our ability to choose how we respond to events. This ancient wisdom of the Stoics proves remarkably relevant and necessary in our times of anxiety and emotional instability. Amidst the unspeakable horror of Nazi concentration camps, Viktor Frankl discovered a transformative truth about human suffering. As a prisoner in Auschwitz, he observed that those who managed to keep a purpose alive, however small, had better chances of surviving hell. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. This reflection from Nietzsche, frequently quoted by Frankl, gained an even deeper dimension through his personal experience in the Holocaust. Logotherapy, the therapeutic method created by Frankl, shed new light on the role of meaning in confronting pain. Carl Rogers, Frankl's contemporary, recognized how this approach complemented his own theory by demonstrating that human beings don't just seek happiness or pleasure, but primarily a sense of purpose in their existence. It's like an inner compass that, even in the most violent storms, shows us a direction to follow. Erich Fromm, in dialogue with Frankl's ideas, illuminates our understanding of how the search for meaning intertwines with our fundamental need for transcendence. Suffering, when embraced with a greater purpose, ceases to be merely an experience of pain and becomes a path of transformation and growth. As Frankl witnessed in the camps, even in the most inhumane circumstances, those who could connect with a higher purpose maintained their dignity intact. Hannah Arendt, who also experienced World War II persecution, expands this perspective when speaking about the human capacity to begin anew even in the most adverse situations. Frankl demonstrated this in practice. Even in the darkest moments, we can choose our attitude towards suffering. This inner freedom, which no one can take from us, is our last and most fundamental freedom. The freedom to choose how we respond to life's circumstances. When we think of stories that exemplify the transformation of suffering into strength, the film Peaceful Warrior emerges as a powerful metaphor for the human journey. Dan Millman, protagonist of this true story, shows us how a devastating injury, which seemingly destroyed his Olympic dreams, became a gateway to a much deeper understanding of life. As Joseph Campbell would say in his Hero with a Thousand Faces theory, sometimes we need to be completely broken to be reborn stronger. The character Socrates, Dan's mysterious mentor, echoes the teachings of his Greek philosopher namesake by reminding us that death is not the biggest loss in life. The biggest loss is what dies inside us while we live. This perspective invites us to question, how often do we let our fears and traumas suffocate our true essence? Dan's physical suffering becomes a mirror of our own struggle with adversities that seem to paralyze us. Carl Jung teaches us that what you resist persists, and this is exactly the lesson Dan learns on his journey. Instead of fighting against his new reality, he learns to embrace it as part of his development path. The true peaceful warrior power isn't in the absence of pain or limitations, but in the ability to transcend them, transforming each obstacle into a stepping stone for personal growth. Albert Camus, in his philosophy of the absurd, stated that we find meaning not despite suffering, but through it. The film brilliantly illustrates this concept when Dan discovers that his disability becomes his greatest strength. As mentor Socrates teaches, the warrior isn't about perfection or victory or invulnerability. It's about absolute vulnerability. This conscious vulnerability becomes the source of a much deeper and more authentic strength. My friends, suffering is an inevitable part of the human journey. But as we've learned today, we don't have to be its eternal victims. From Schopenhauer to Frankl, from Nietzsche to the Stoics, each of these masters has gifted us with powerful keys to transform our relationship with pain. The question remains, which of these perspectives resonates most with your personal story? Have you ever considered that your current suffering might be exactly the teacher you need right now? How would your life change if you started today to apply Nietzsche's amor fati or to seek greater meaning as Frankl proposed? Change is within your reach, but it needs to start now. If this content touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need to hear these words right now. Leave a comment below sharing which perspective impacted you the most and how you plan to apply it in your life. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue this journey of self-discovery together. This is just the beginning of a deep conversation about how we can transform our relationship with suffering. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is the time. Also, hit the bell icon so you don't miss our upcoming videos, where we'll continue exploring the treasures of human wisdom for living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.